What if I told you that everything you think you know about building wealth is incomplete? You've been told to work hard, to save your money, to invest for the long term. But what if the greatest financial empires in history weren't built on these rules? What if they were built on a set of codes? A kind of playbook that operates in the shadows. A code that is, effectively, forbidden to the average person. These aren't secrets hidden in some ancient book. They are patterns, woven into the fabric of our financial history, used by a select few to build fortunes so vast they could rival entire countries. Today, we decipher 3 of these forbidden codes. And you might be shocked to discover how they are still being used, right now, to shape the world around you. To understand these codes, we must go back in time to America's Gilded Age. This was the world of men like Rockefeller, Carnegie, and J.P. Morgan. They didn't just play by the rules. They wrote the rules. Let's begin with the first, and perhaps the most ruthless code of all, the law of the void. It's a strategy built on achieving total, monopolistic control by eliminating all competition. To see it in action, picture the chaos of the 1860s oil industry. It was the Wild West. Hundreds of small companies were fighting each other to survive, creating wild price swings and market instability. This chaos was the perfect opportunity for a man like John D. Rockefeller. He didn't see competition as healthy, he saw it as a disease. His cure was eradication. His company, Standard Oil, set out to be the only player. He used a strategy of horizontal integration. He bought his competitors, one by one. If they refused to sell, he would crush them. He slashed his prices, leveraging secret, preferential deals with the railroads to ship his oil for a fraction of his rivals' costs. Eventually, they sold to him for pennies, or went bankrupt. He then mastered vertical integration, buying the pipelines, the timber forests, the chemical plants. He controlled every single step. By 1890, Standard Oil controlled nearly 90% of America's oil. But this absolute power created a breaking point. The public saw Standard Oil as a monstrous octopus, strangling the economy. In 1911, the Supreme Court declared it an illegal monopoly and ordered it to be shattered into 34 separate companies. It looked like a victory for the little guy. But here's the twist. Rockefeller retained his shares in all of those new companies. As these smaller firms, Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, competed and grew, the value of his collective shares skyrocketed. The attempt to break his power ironically made him far richer, proving just how potent the code really was. While Rockefeller was mastering the physical world, another titan was mastering the abstract world of money. This brings us to the second forbidden code, the alchemy of paper. It's the art of turning tangible value into abstract financial instruments, and then multiplying them. Its master was the banker, J.P. Morgan. He understood that true power wasn't just in owning things, it was in controlling the idea of things. Morgan's genius was in consolidation. He saw industries plagued by chaotic competition and forced warring companies to merge into giant new corporations, or trusts. His most audacious move was the creation of U.S. Steel in 1901. He merged Andrew Carnegie's steel empire with several others. And here's the alchemy: the new company was valued at $1.4 billion. This was more than the combined value of all the companies it absorbed. So, where did that extra money come from? It came from thin air. It was created from the promise of future monopoly profits. It was an empire built on stock certificates and bonds, pure paper. Morgan's banking syndicate took a massive fee, creating hundreds of millions of dollars in wealth simply by rearranging the pieces on the chessboard. This system, however, was a house of cards built on leverage. The breaking point was the Wall Street crash of 1929. When the market turned, the leverage worked in reverse, and these paper empires evaporated, triggering the Great Depression. The government tried to outlaw this code with regulations like the Glass-Steagall Act, but the temptation to turn paper into gold never really went away. By the early 20th century, the great industrialists faced a new problem. The public saw them as robber barons, and the threat of income and inheritance taxes loomed. They needed a way to protect their legacy and their wealth. This led to the third, and most subtle code, the immortal hand. It is the strategy of converting private wealth into public power, shielded by the guise of charity. The idea was championed by Andrew Carnegie. He argued the rich had a moral obligation to give their fortunes away for the public good. This gave birth to the modern mega foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, the Carnegie Endowment. These were not simple charities. They were vast, tax-exempt corporations designed to exist in perpetuity. They funded universities and medical research, creating immense public goodwill. But they also accomplished two other goals. They allowed their founders to transfer wealth out of their personal estates, shielding it from inheritance taxes forever. And they allowed their families to retain control over these vast pools of capital, influencing society and public policy for generations. It was a way to achieve a kind of financial immortality. While laws were eventually passed to regulate foundations more strictly, this philanthropic shield remains the ultimate tool for dynastic wealth preservation today. So, do these codes sound like ancient history? Think again. The law of the void is the playbook of Silicon Valley. Tech giants create ecosystems and acquire potential rivals before they become a threat. Think Facebook buying Instagram and WhatsApp. The goal is the same as Rockefeller's: become the sole platform, the void where competition used to be. The alchemy of paper never left, it just got more complex. The Glass-Steagall Act was repealed in 1999. Less than a decade later, the world experienced the 2008 financial crisis, fueled by complex derivatives and securities, a modern version of J.P. Morgan's paper magic that collapsed under its own weight. And the immortal hand? It's bigger than ever. Today's billionaires are channeling their fortunes into massive foundations and LLCs that offer incredible tax benefits and the power to shape everything from education reform to global health policy. It is the gospel of wealth on a global, digital scale. So, what can we take away from this journey? First, the greatest empires are often built by eliminating competition, not by engaging in it. Durable wealth is built on creating moats and monopolies. Second, the largest fortunes are made by mastering abstract systems of finance and paper, not just physical assets. This allows wealth to be multiplied on a scale that production cannot match. And third, power preserves itself through reputation and regulation. Philanthropy has historically been the ultimate tool for laundering a controversial legacy and shielding wealth from taxation, converting it into perpetual influence. These codes force us to ask a critical question. In an age of digital monopolies and financial complexity that dwarfs the Gilded Age, are we doing enough to understand these patterns? Or are we destined to watch history repeat itself, as a new generation of titans uses them to build empires even vaster than the last? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Is this the inevitable nature of capitalism, or a flaw in the system that needs to be corrected? And if you want to keep exploring the hidden mechanics of finance and power, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. You won't want to miss what we uncover next. Thank you for watching.